welcome back to ReCall The Midwife. We are a fan podcast. Every week we watch an episode of Call The Midwife and then we talk about it. I'm Becky.
I'm Alex.
I'm Jen. A reminder that this week's episode deals with postpartum depression, the Holocaust, family separation, grief, and loss. So if those topics are ones you prefer to skip this time, we understand and hope you join us for the next one. In this week's episode, we meet Ivy, a mother giving birth to her first children, a set of twins, boys. Ivy's twin sister Yvonne has just had a baby girl a few weeks earlier, and it's clear the two women are close, but while Ivy is thriving, Yvonne is struggling. Trixie connects and finds out Yvonne has a serious case of mastitis and is showing signs of postpartum depression. Trixie gets her help, and Ivy offers her support. Sister Hilda is helping a Jewish expectant mother, and her husband works in the fur trade, which is a family business. When Orly goes into labor, her husband Samuel struggles, and it's soon discovered that he came to England after the end of the Second World War and was in a concentration camp as a child. This history, along with serious medical symptoms, led to a lot of discovery for the family, and with care and attention from Dr. Turner and Sister Hilda, a bright future is set in motion. Meanwhile, it's summer in Poplar, and Fred is up to one of his classic schemes. Trixie and Matthew are navigating a new romance, and Lucille and Cyril get some wonderful but unexpected news. There you go.
Now,
Stuff is happening.
Behind the scenes on this, we are recording this a week late because I was really poorly last week. I had a really bad migraine and was sick and everything. So I do apologise if I don't remember much. I've been trying. I'm looking through my notes now, and I'm like, I can't picture who that is. We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Well, I watched it again.
Oh, I should have watched it again, shouldn't I? That's
yeah,
outstanding. Yeah.
See, I didn't want to watch it again, but then I was like, I'm not gonna remember anything to be able to talk about this coherently. So I was like doing other stuff while I was watching it, but
to be honest, I'm looking at my notes now, and I can remember loads of it, so it'll be fine.
Okay. So where do you want to start, Bex? What do you think?
Should we? Well, let's let Alex lead it.
Let's talk about how hot it was then. It was a very hot day. Thank you very much. I can.
Hot episode. The whole
you
episode.
trying to catch me out, but actually it's seamless.
The heat reminded me of you and I, Alex.
Yeah, same.
Sister Mojo was basically you and I in hot weather when she was like, the heat has addled you. That is absolutely us.
That really is just gorging on ice lollies, lying on marble floors, just ruining the day we had a fringe.
I just cannot abide hot weather.
I'm not into it.
True British people right there.
You be saying that, but most British people love it. If you ever, honestly, on a hot day here, Jen, you count the men with no tops on. Like,
well, you guys just have nice weather so rarely. I feel like, you think.
Do men do that in America? Walk around with no tops on?
Just like in general?
Yeah, just
I mean, not in New York on a winter's day, but on a really, really hot day.
Not like in public, like on streets or in stores or anything like that. No.
To be fair, I'm acting like it's normal people who do it, Bex. It's just generally shabby people in it, let's be honest.
I don't know. I was on my lunch break once and someone from the office was walking up the street with no top on.
Really?
It was so strange.
But was it a weekend or something?
Pants on the bottom?
No, we were both literally on. No, he wasn't. So we're dressed down at work. So he wasn't wearing a suit. That would be weirder.
Exactly.
So just jeans. No, we were both on our lunch break, Jen, and he'd just gone out and taken his top off and was just walking around in jeans.
Just in public, just like
just nipping to Pratt.
Oh God! You wait. No, you guys cannot go into stores with no shirts on, right?
Men do
I don't do it.
No, but I mean, over here, I would say in most of America, again, I mean, listeners, correct me if this is different in your area, but in most of America, it's kind of an understanding that no shirt, no shoes, no service. So you can't go into stores and shops without a top on, even if you're a guy.
They'd go into Tesco. They'd go into
yeah. Also, just while we're on the subject of ridiculous summer wear, there was a scene where all the extras were walking past because it was a really hot day, and they were in the most ridiculous colours and the most ridiculous summer outfits, all in bright orange shirt with a Hawaiian. It was just.
But was this when they were trying to give away the ice lollies?
Yeah, it was just. I've never seen anything like it. But all these young men dressed in the most ridiculous, really tight-fitting shirts, really small shorts, but they were all primary colours. I was like, that is not realistic. I'm sorry, British men did not dress that like that. It was just absolutely ridiculous. They'd all be wearing brown, weird pants.
Should we talk about...
never forget, it's a psychedelic 60s. So, Nancy's outfits, she's got all of her crazy colors and everything. So maybe it's a little bit brighter back then than we remember,
Not that bright, not everyone.
Yeah, it's not like now where everyone's beige all the time.
There's a scene in it where Matthew calls, I'm just still on to talk about this now. Trixie and Matthew go on a date, a picnic with John T.
Yeah.
Oh, this drove me crazy. I don't know if this is what you're going to say, but
Trixie ends up with ice cream in her lap. Well,
horrifying.
It was ridiculous that Matthew just handed the baby that ice cream.
Yes, absolutely ridiculous.
No, it is ridiculous that he did it, right? But is it ridiculous that he did it? Like, I know so many men who just hand a baby an ice cream like that.
God.
Well, I was just like, oh God.
I can't think of anything dumber to do than to give a child that age an ice cream cone. That was the silliest thing I have ever seen. I would have been like, the second I saw it, I was like, no! Like, I just was so,
I mean, this is the time before wet wipes as well, I'm presuming.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And then she had that massive, I mean, it literally, like, the way he was holding it, it was like, it was just immediately going to turn upside down on his carriage. And then how her skirt got into it, I really couldn't tell you because it just didn't make sense. Like, it just didn't make sense to me. But I was like, no, please.
Well, we'll
don't.
talk about that. But should we talk about?
No, let's finish
first.
So Nancy has a chat with Matthew and says, look, you need to not start with pie.
Oh, no, wait. Set it up, though. Say why, though. Because like Nancy doesn't just intuit this idea on her own. Like, why does she say this to him?
Because she has a chat with Trixie.
Yeah, and Trixie's like, yeah, I guess he is my boyfriend, but we started off as friends, and I just kind of feel like there's no spark, and, but this line really made me sad. She's like, but what can I expect? He already had the love of his life.
Yeah, that made me sad.
And I was like, oh, that is so bleak, so bleak. And so then
just gets one love of your life. You can have as many as you want. I'm gonna have 10.
Absolutely.
I like the picnic basket that was like basically to cover her massive bump that she's obviously very pregnant with.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Later, when they went on a date, she didn't have a massive bump. I think it's all filmed out of sequence.
It may be.
No, I still stand by what I said before. I think they film one episode at a time. Now, granted, could there be days? I mean, I also could see them giving her garments that,
Oh, because they knew she was pregnant, Jen. They thought the scenes where she'd be showing more, they'd want to try and get in first.
Because there's a scene at the end where she gets in the car to go out with Matthew, and you couldn't tell from that.
You could tell.
Bump watch.
You could tell.
No, she wasn't her usual self, but there wasn't a bump.
There wasn't like a protruding bump, but there was definitely like, I mean, the thing
it wasn't an Empire Line dress, to be fair. I did notice that.
Yeah, I mean,
and she had flowers that he brought up for an apology in front of her.
But
and stuff.
What she didn't need something to hide. It's not like she needed a prop to hide.
Yeah, but they did use flowers.
They did yeah. The other thing is, I feel like that she's at that stage in the pregnancy where it's like, is she pregnant or does she just look like a person with a stomach? You know what I mean? Like a normal person who has a belly.
I'm still convinced that they film it out of sequence because at some places they're very obviously trying to hide her stomach, and in some places they're not.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And I wonder if they've done it because they thought, well, these are going to be body shots and we know she's pregnant, so let's get these out of the way first, kind of thing.
Anyway, there's a scene where Matthew comes. So Nancy has that chat with Matthew, and then
I love that man getting told off. I love it.
Matthew brings Trixie flowers to apologize, and Trixie opened the door. I thought they were about to go on a date. She was so dressed up.
That's what I don't like now.
No,
yeah. You do have really good hair this time.
That's because I went to a wedding yesterday.
You had a nice blowout.
I just did it myself.
Yeah. People just dress so much nicer, like, for no reason back then, though.
Yeah.
Like,
time really changed.
Yeah, I mean, like...
Yeah, I feel like we just really have let standards slip, and I've speak for myself there.
Honestly, we have, though. Like, I mean, we truly have. Like, when I think about the way people used to dress is now how we only dress in formal times.
I know someone they've had to send letters out to the school to be like, don't turn up in pajamas to pick your kids up and drop them off.
Oh God, I totally believe that. I 1,000% believe that.
I was
a bit like, what's matter?
I was driving to work one morning and I was on the roundabout waiting at traffic lights, and there was a lady. She was in pajamas and her dressing gown and slippers.
Oh.
She'd not even pulled a coat on top of pajamas.
I saw someone in the park the other day, like this grandma with some kids, and she was in pajamas and dressing gown and slippers in the park.
Oh Lord.
This is like 4 p.m. on a Friday night.
I would be like, are you okay? Honestly, that's what I would think. Like, what has happened to you? Like, are you all right? What's going on here?
She's not scary. I stayed away.
The next morning, I was like, do you think we're going to see her again? And we did.
And she was in the same outfit again?
Well, she was in her pajamas and her dressing gown. I
What was she
respected
doing?
this thing
Walking
that.
along?
Oh,
Well,
no.
the first time I think she was going to buy fags or something from the corner shop, and then the second time she was walking her kid to school.
Oh my God.
No.
I mean, don't get me
I'll tell
wrong.
you.
I don't get dressed up to go to the school run, but I've got
You get
clothes on.
dressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta put something on. I will say one of the places where I see the worst offenders is airports. I feel like people wear ridiculously casual outfits to be on airplanes now.
I've
And
not seen
honestly,
anyone in pajamas, but I have seen like casual, like jogging bottoms and stuff. I think that's okay for a flight, isn't it?
I've seen people in slippers like to get on a flight. Like it just I know the golden age of aviation is over, like so long over, but I mean the fact that you can't even put on like a real piece of clothing to get on a plane
See, I don't mind
nowadays, I'm
slippers
just
per se,
like
because there's some slippers that are like outdoor kind of, they're made for outdoors, but they styled like slippers. They're quite in at the moment.
these are not always outdoor slippers.
No.
It just, I don't know why. It just is like, I mean, the thing is, it's just like, where are you going? You are traveling. Like I mean, if you have to get on a plane to go where you're going, like it's one thing if you're to your point about the lady who's in her dressing gown or whatever, she's like a block away from her house, you know? But like these are people who are literally boarding an aircraft to fly hundreds and hundreds of miles away from their home. I don't know. I don't know. It's like, and the thing is, you're gonna have to be seen in
These though,
public.
comfort
It's
is
like,
key. Do you know what I mean?
oh, I just
I
am
know,
not
but
for it.
you
I'm
should at
just
least
not
wear a
for
shoe,
it.
Alex.
Yeah,
My
really.
Bob's has just bought some like Uggs. She just bought them. We've just bought them. Like she had to go for a residential away, and they needed slippers, and she didn't have any slippers that fit her because her feet have just grown like 2 sizes in a flaming week. Anyway, so we got these like they're not real Uggs, but they're like Ugg kind of things. But we couldn't find any slippers that she liked when we went. So there were these like outdoor Uggs boots that she wanted to wear as slippers. So she's got them, and now she wears them outside and loves them. And she's like, they're the comfiest things ever. But they do look a bit like slippery stuff.
Are they the ones
That
without
makes
back in
sense.
them?
No, they do have a back.
Like
So
little
they
short
technically are
boots?
shoes. Yeah, yeah,
I mean, Uggs are kind of designed at that intersection of like it feels like a slipper, but it is a shoe. That I get.
yeah. So should we talk about Ivy and Yvonne?
Yeah, that's.
Who do you think got the better name out? The twins there?
Oh, God.
Was it Donald and David?
Yeah.
Well, no,
David is
Ivy
a better
and Yvonne.
name.
Ivy and Yvonne.
Oh, Ivy.
See, I would have always said Yvonne up until recently because Ivy's now dead in. But it wasn't. Think about 20 years ago, we'd have said Yvonne. Just this is my point. Names changed. That was my point there. Also, David got the better name from David and Donald. Sorry, any Donalds listening.
Yeah, Donald isn't.
Donald. I don't know why, but the name Donald's a bit tainted for me. Can't think why. Anyway.
It was never a great name. Apologies to any Donalds that are listening. But also, it's a weird names that go together for twins. You would never put a Donald and a David. They just don't go.
Well, they're both D's, I suppose.
They're both D names. That's what I thought.
Yeah, that's literally it.
But wait, isn't
That
oh
doesn't
no,
make
the
them
lady's
go
husband's
together.
name is Jim. Never mind. Sorry, I thought it might have been a play on the dad's name, but
No, Jim Jepson, Donald and David Jepson. And then Ivy had a baby, Nancy.
No. Yvonne had Melanie.
Hang on, Melanie. Nancy's the one who delivered her because I was thinking Nancy. So this is what I mean. My brain's. I had a migraine last week, everyone. I'm still not right. Sorry. Yes. So Ivy had Melanie, and
No,
Nancy.
Yvonne had Melanie.
Oh, Yvonne, flipping it. Honestly, guys, someone else needs to do this bit. I don't know what's wrong with me. I do, but and then Yvonne Corder is her name, isn't it?
Yvonne
Something
had
like that.
Melanie. Ivy had Donald and David.
Yes. I've even written that here and I just read it completely wrong. So anyway, Yvonne's baby was crying loads and Trixie was saying about helping her. So they had this postnatal group that Trixie was, and basically it was just Trixie at the front with loads of mums like asking her questions. And it was really weirdly informal, but they were all very polite doing it one by one. And Yvonne's baby just kept crying and kept crying. And Trixie was saying, you know, we can help a bit more if you need any extra help. She was like, I don't need any help. And then they showed her in horrendous pain trying to breastfeed and her poor boobs. Ugh.
She had mastitis.
oh yeah. From everything I've heard about mastitis, it sounds absolutely like a nightmare. Like I can't think of anything more than like an already probably sore body and sore boobs, then having like a really raging infection on top of that
Yeah.
is causing breastfeeding to be so painful. I mean,
breastfeeding is
oh my
hard, and
word.
when you first start, like it's horrendous for like your nipples hurt so much, can't even tell you the pain, and that's just normal breastfeeding. So
Yeah,
then
exactly.
add like horrendous. My cousin had mastitis, and she was in just absolute agony. It's just awful.
Oh, poor thing.
And you're
The
there, and it's not
thing
like
is,
you're getting any sleep to be able to, get
even if
rid
you
of the infection.
take Yvonne's difficulties with breastfeeding, I think she probably had a bit of postnatal depression as well.
Yeah, but she's
Even
on
if
her
you
own.
Oh,
Her husband was away.
1,000%.
Yeah, she was
1,000%
just
she
on
did.
her own. Her husband was away.
at
She didn't have
sea.
any help. It must be
Yeah.
so hard, just you and the baby.
But even if you take that out of it, there was a weird dynamic between her and her sister, wasn't there?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, from kind of day one, you
Like
got
there
it.
was competition between them. They didn't seem close for sisters.
Well, Yvonne was quite looking forward, I think, to Ivy struggling. I think she thought, oh, this is really hard. I can't wait because she was always like, oh, anything she does, she's the golden child. She walked first, she talked first, she does all this first, and she's always amazing. But I think she was like filled with glee, thinking, oh, she's gonna have twins, she's gonna have double the problems I'm having. I think she was actually a bit like, and I think I don't have a sister, Becky, you don't, but Jenn, you do. You hear a lot about like sisterly. See, I don't think you two aren't very competitive, are you?
I mean, not. I don't think we're competitive.
If we ask her, she'll be like, yeah.
Yeah, really. I don't think we're competitive in like a toxic way, but I mean, I think it's tough when you are siblings with the same gender because it just does create like a different kind of I mean, again, the word I'm thinking of is competition, but I don't want to say it that way because it's not really what I mean. But like, the thing is like and I remember I listened to anyway, whatever. But like the thing is with most of the people in your life, there's a lot of ways that you can say, oh, well, they had this and I had that, or they were this way and I was that way. But I mean, especially these girls were twins. But the thing is when you literally are at the same exact age, you grow up in the same house, you have the same everything theoretically. And it's like, and you're girls and you're this, it's like, well, when did she do that? What did she get that I didn't get? I mean, my mom always jokes now that, my sister's whole thing when we were growing up was, like Jenn gets everything and I get nothing, which of course wasn't true. But then my whole thing is like, well, she gets all this and I get all that. And then on top of that, I mean, I'm the older one and she's the younger one. So there's that dynamic. But yeah, I mean, it's a complicated relationship, even though it's really
like
loving
I've seen
and positive,
TikToks where it's like they're your ride and dad, they're your best friend in the history of the world, but they can also be your enemy. And they'll switch it up. So this seems like that kind of relationship. And also Yvonne is deeply unhappy at the moment. As Beck said before, I do think she had postnatal depression, but also like she's on her own with a baby. She's got a neighbour shouting and banging on the door, shut that baby up, because the baby's just screaming, crying all the time because she's having real trouble breastfeeding. Then she finally phones Trixie, thank God. And she was like, you've got mastitis. And obviously Melanie's not gaining weight because obviously she can't breastfeed her. She's just crying all the hours God sent. She's all stressed. And that's not going to help her with her milk coming through anyway, because it's just an absolute nightmare. Anything can put you off kilter with it. And she's just constantly comparing herself to her sister. And
I felt terrible in that scene where she was visiting Ivy in the maternity home, and she said, oh, well, you'll have trouble feeding the both of them, like, bottle service or, whatever it was. And then she's like, no, everything's great. I it's all going perfectly. I have plenty of milk, like no trouble at all. And Sheila was like, yeah, I mean, and I just, it was one, you could just see her like sinking into the floor when she heard that.
I did like the way Sheila was like, fed is best, but, she's doing very well on the breast. Like she was very much trying to say not that breast is best, but I thought rubbish. In the 60s, they 100% put loads of pressure on mums. I had loads of pressure on me in 2017 to only breastfeed. They were like, we don't want nipple confusion, don't give them a bottle. And I remember my husband, because I was really struggling, my husband got some bottles that were already mixed from the supermarket. It was like 3 a.m. It was ridiculous. And I was in bits and he was in, and it was just awful. So he just went to the supermarket and got some. It was like he brought heroin in the house. I was like, how dare you? Because my midwives were just so ridiculous about this bread. Looking back, it was ridiculous and way too much pressure.
But what's crazy about that, and I think we've even talked about this before, is that I feel like no matter how much, I mean, none of us were, or like, I mean, you were not like a young mom, Al.
No,
I mean, you were not like in your like 20s or whatever. So, I mean, it's funny to think that like, and I feel like my sister had this too, where, now granted, I don't know if she felt that way or whatever, because I mean, everything we talked about was just like, get the babies fed. Don't worry about whether it's breast milk or whatever like that. But I mean, to think how strong that kind of propaganda campaign is even now.
Well, I think also I was just crazy. I had like hormones. I was not myself. I'd had a really bad time. And I just think I was vulnerable and I was struggling and I didn't know what I was doing. You know,
Yeah.
normally, this sounds weird, but normally in life I'm pretty all right. I can do stuff. Do you know what I mean? I'm quite independent. But this just, it was like I'd been hit by a bus, and then
Yeah.
I couldn't get the hang of it. Like, she just wasn't bonding with me. It was just awful. Like, you just don't know what you do. There's no manual. It's just very, very hard. So I think you just struggle to listen to any expert, and they were all very much like, there's nipple confusion. Don't give them a bottle. Looking back, it's absolutely ridiculous. I would always give them a bottle. So then, then my husband could have fed her and stuff as well and given me a break.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
But then Yvonne's not got that because her husband's away at sea.
No, exactly. It's even more bleak.
But what gets me is, why did Ivy not have any sort of intuition that Yvonne was struggling?
Yeah, that's what annoyed me. I just thought, why are you suddenly? I know, I will say, she was obviously about to give birth to twins. It's not easy being pregnant, especially with twins right at the very end. Do you know what I mean? You're struggling, it hurts, everything's awful. But at the same time, if she's that down and that, do you know what I mean? She just wasn't herself at all.
I feel like she should have sensed that in her, being a twin as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny because at first, like I think the way they wrote the story was very thoughtful, because Ivy gives birth and Yvonne shows up and is like, "Oh, well, I'll just wait here. I want to make sure everything's okay." And then she comes in, and Sheila was so sweet. She was like, "Oh, look, there's a very excited auntie who wants to visit," And so she walks in and she says how beautiful the babies are and like, hope you're doing well and everything. And then immediately she's like, "Oh, what about this, this one? She's so tiny and everything." And Ivy was like, "Don't start." And so they kind of get into it right at the beginning. And then you can just see how they both kind of chip away at each other.
Quite
you know what I mean?
Quite, what's the word? Like, she's already very
she's
defensive.
Projecting, right? Because it's like she also had her place, and
but she knows she's small. She knows she's not feeding well. So when someone says it, she gets very defensive. And anyway, Trixie goes and visits her with Melanie, and she wants to see that she's okay. And they are sisters. She's there with the twins. And then they were talking about the feeding and stuff. And then which twins got the boys? Yvonne?
Ivy
flipping out. Ivy she's all like, "Oh, I could feed the boy. I could feed her as well as the boys." And basically Trixie, then she realizes that something's wrong with her sister.
Thank God for Trixie just being like, "You need to leave." Yeah, I was like, get her out of there.
But Melanie can smell the milk on Ivy, so she's like trying to latch on. Did you just say that?
No.
Oh, yeah. So that's happened. I will say, though, with what I was just saying, that Ivy wasn't kind of intuitive at all that something was off with Yvonne. Even I think my brother would be like, "You're not yourself."
You think your brother would be like that?
Yeah.
Don't know if I would.
That's giving him a lot of credit, be honest. That's based on what you told us. The things he does not intuit already are a little bit surprising at times.
No, I know what you mean, though. I do know what you mean. So,
well, you'd like to think that, the people who know you best can kind of sense your ups and downs. So I get that. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
So anyway, Yvonne was healing well physically, but not doing well mentally still after the mastitis and stuff. And then she basically left the baby out on the street because the baby just does not stop crying. And she just gets into the bed right now. Can I just say, this killed me. She got into the bed with her outside coat.
Oh,
and the shoes.
And the shoes. The shoes is what really set me. I don't have the same outside clothes thing that you do, but the shoes, I noticed that, and it absolutely drove me crazy. I was like, honestly, I'm joking, but I was like, that is a true sign of mental illness right there. The fact that you put your shoes under the cover, like, that just says you're something has gone wrong for you.
Well, that knocked me sick. I'm not going to lie, guys. And then she said, so Trixie then basically came around, luckily, very soon after. And she basically said it got to the point where I thought one of us might go out the window. She's safer away from them. So then Trixie's like, "We need to do something. We need to intervene here because this ain't right." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Getting into bed with shoes on ain't right. So
Trixie properly admonished her for leaving the baby outside.
Yeah, but you've kind of got to make her realise how bad it is. Like, you needed to make her realise that you can't do that.
But hold up, though.
The point is, mums do that all the time.
I wonder
they don't seem to since that baby went missing. Do you remember?
I wonder if this is a cultural shift in the show.
Yeah.
Where they're trying to reflect that things have changed. It's not the same way anymore.
I think in Denmark, people still do that.
They do, but it's not Denmark, Bex.
No, it's not.
It's popular.
Well, and also, my understanding for Denmark is that you don't leave them. You may leave them outside, they're never out of your sight. Like you're not just
Dunno.
like, well, what? You just park your kid in the front of a shopping center and then you just walk around for 2
Well,
hours
not a
and come back and
shopping
get them.
centre, but a coffee shop.
Yeah, but the idea is you can still see the baby carriage, right?
Ish.
I don't know. I think people still do it outside the house and stuff. Like your door would be closed.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like,
Tell us if are you in Denmark? Let us know.
I would like to know because when I think of a house, I think of like a private space. Like, I mean, if I had a baby now, I could leave a baby outside my house, and I wouldn't worry that somebody would take the baby.
Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't.
Even though I've got a private house.
I would put them in the backyard. I wouldn't put them in the front
I'd put them in
yard.
the back. Yeah, yeah. Anyway,
We used to leave them in the car.
Oh God, you used to leave babies in the car?
Yeah.
She should go around driving babies around. Just
Oh my God, that would for
No, if
sure get a
they've
call to
fallen asleep in
CPS
the
in this
car-
country. I'll tell you that much.
If they fall asleep in the car, we'll go in and just leave
you know
them.
what? I used to love it when Bobs fell asleep in the car, but I'd sit in the car with her and go on my phone. It was bliss. Just have a break. Anyway, so Trixie goes to Sister Julienne and she's like, we need to intervene. Something needs to happen here, right? And Sister Julienne tries to sort of place an award for babies with feeding difficulties. And they did find a bed for Mrs. Corder. I've had to put Mrs. Corder because I can't remember which flaming twin it is. And it was really good. Yvonne, and Ivy was there encouraging her. And all's well that ends well. I'm hoping everything was all good and they all had a really close relationship. The boys were dead close with Melanie. Do you know what I mean? I hope it was all lovely.
Good for them.
Yeah.
It did seem to end on a not a high note, but a good note. Like this is going to work out.
Yeah, like we can get this sorted because it wasn't like she was incapable or anything. It was that she was struggling but didn't want to ask for help. So then, because she'd left it too long to ask for help and was comparing herself and putting herself down, it created this situation. When actually, then when the situation's sorted, the feeding's all sorted, everything will be fine.
Yeah,
she gets into the swing of things.
Yes.
Should we talk about the Rosens?
Let's.
Oh,
I really like the name Orly Rosen. And Samuel Rosen.
I was really touched by this family. Also, like, I don't know why, but I remember I felt this way the first time I was watching it and the second time. Like, now granted, the styling of the two of them wasn't to me the best because it was obviously very dated. And like, again, Orly won, another award for like terrible, terrible wig on a really beautiful woman. But like,
her hair it looked like a 60-year-old's hair on someone gorgeous and young.
Well, in the episode, her and her husband, I thought were just so good looking, like people. Like, I don't know, there was something about him and her together that just, they almost had like a movie star quality to me. I don't know why.
They were like Vogue cover people. Like
they just were so attractive. I was like, wow, gosh, my goodness, you two. Like, they almost like downplayed it for him too because he was supposed to be so sick. Sick, and then she was like they gave her like the thing when she just gave birth and it was just
her face was so stunning when the bit where she'd given birth, we'll talk about that in a second, but the bit where she'd given birth she looked like an absolute movie star model, and I was thinking the difference between that the photos of when I first gave birth.
Oh my God. And every woman you generally see who's just given birth, it's like a photo that like, oh my God, should never be seen by anyone ever because it's like you just look like the most ravaged person on earth, like in the worst way.
I remember my friend, her husband sent us a photo and she was like, she deleted it about 10 minutes after. Like her full boob was on the photo. And he just sent it to everyone she knew.
Oh, God.
And he hadn't noticed because he was just like, oh, the baby. And she was like, my full boobs are on display.
And now everyone that we know has seen them and I can never get that back. It was like, oh my God. Oh my God.
But what? So when we meet the Rosens, Sister Hilda is doing the flat inspection, see if she can sign off a home birth.
Yeah.
And she says, I don't know that we can allow a home birth because the fur, I'm going to say fur trade, but that makes it sound like they're out
they called it fur skin dressing, didn't they?
Yeah. Did she say it's an offensive industry?
Yeah, but she's the may concern the Board of Health.
I don't think she meant she meant
I initially mean offensive,
but I think because of the toxic chemicals is what she was talking about.
But what got me is that flat, some flats, it was lovely. Some flats have water running down the walls.
Yeah.
Rats in straw bedding. That woman that
mold everywhere.
The woman that gave birth in the Kip house.
Oh, remember the woman that gave birth on the toilet?
Yeah.
Like we'll never forget.
Yeah, the outhouse, the shared one, yeah.
Can't sign off that beautiful flat because of the fur downstairs.
It's crazy. This is where it's just like, okay, suspend your disbelief is all I have
But
to
also
think to
maybe
myself.
health and safety. Bearing in mind, again, it really has moved on a lot in the last however many years, like 11 years. We're in season 11 now. Like it has moved on a hell of a lot with like the NHS, and there'll be health and safety kind of things. Like the fact that the council care about that now. They never used to, let's be honest.
Yeah. Well, and I will say this, like I think too, like I mean, the Kipper House birth is gonna be like burned on my brain for like till I'm dead. But the thing is that like that birth, I feel like they called Trixie to come and help, and the woman was already in active labor. I get the feeling, like I wonder if there's like a thing if we actually went back and watched if like the births that happened in those situations that are just so horrifying were a lot of times like
an emergency.
They already found the woman there and it was like we don't have time to move her, we can't get her anywhere else. It's like this has to happen.
They're not like, oh yeah, you can give birth on the ship. She was giving birth on a ship.
Right. Like remember Chummy when she delivered the twins and the lights went out and
it was triplets. And
triplets,
he'd just gone to a guy's house she'd had a one-night stand with, and she found his room, opened it and went in.
Right. There was no lights,
towels or anything.
Yeah. And it was like I would never.
It's different because those people are like in active labour and can't be moved, but still a bit of discretion.
Yeah.
Okay. I agree. I'm not disagreeing. It's just, Anyway.
So anyway, Mr. Rosen, Sammy Rosen, he basically has like a coughing fit, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh, you need to get that seen to or whatever. And he's like, no hospitals, no tests. And basically saying that he had TB when he was a teenager in Poland. And kind of that was that. But he was like, I don't want to do anything. Anyway, they made sure that he was, and they referred him to a hospital instead because they were like, no, you do need to see someone about that.
I didn't think he was going to go get the X-ray. I thought he was going to not comply.
Well, he did.
But he did.
Yeah.
Kind of impressed.
Same.
But I think because he'd just had the child, I think he was genuinely worried about his health.
Well, he hadn't had the child yet, had he?
No. It was on the way.
Yeah. And then so his radiologist report comes back clear, and they're all really confused as to what it could be.
Dr. Turner was really like, it's definitely TB.
Yeah.
But the thing is, did anyone think it was insane that they like truly couldn't figure it out for like so long? And then they were like, oh, it's this. And I was like, isn't that the most obvious thing it could be? I mean,
well, anyway,
Orly
goes into labor, and then we've said she's the most glowing new mother
you've
ever seen.
Beautiful woman ever.
Yeah,
she really hammed it up for the labor.
Yeah, but during the birth, Mr. Rosen's struggling. He rushes in saying, stop hurting her and stuff. And then basically, in this really moving scene while his baby's being born in another room, he talks about the fact that basically he was in an extermination camp. He's in Auschwitz.
Dr. Turner makes him talk about it.
Which we know you're not a fan of.
No, it is sensible in this situation.
And when he was talking about it, his baby was literally being born. But like the sound of his baby crying in the next room was while he was. It was a very moving scene.
Mm-hmm.
It was. It was just, and I think it's so important as well that to show that, because nowadays you don't hear a lot of first-hand
accounts,
accounts of that time, do you? So I think it is important to like portray that.
And also I feel like we kind of thought maybe that might be where the storyline was going, but then he was like, oh, I was a teenager in Poland. And I thought, oh no, that's not where the storyline's going, but that was where the storyline was going. Yeah.
And when he had his coat on, because he said they had to be ready to leave at a moment's notice.
So yeah, he was wearing his coat ready to escape at any moment. So basically he was kind of walking the lines between reality and not because of his PTSD. Obviously the whole having a baby must have triggered something in him as well to kind of make him, it's a big life thing, isn't it? And he was thinking about his family and all that. So he was there. And then he was wearing this coat ready to escape. And was it Dr. Turner he was speaking to about that then?
Yeah. But when he talked about...
Because he was talking about the journey to camp and the smell of it. And he was promised a shower with his dad. Wasn't it him? No, it was Sister Hilda, wasn't it? He was talking to then.
Yeah, because he initially talks to Dr. Turner, and then later he's talking to Sister Hilda, and his father-in-law is there because
they were talking about his breast, the babies, which was circumcision, which I didn't know that.
And Orly walks in, doesn't she? And she stands in the doorway and listens, and he's talking about, because they're talking about basically they're going to get the baby circumcised.
Yeah.
But he talks about his father and being rounded up with the rabbi and how he never actually got confirmed. Is it called confirmed?
No, he never had his bat mitzvah.
Bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
Apologies to anybody of the Jewish faith. And he's talking about his father getting rounded up with the rabbi and how his father looks at him and he knows that he saw him, but he didn't call him over. And oh my God, it just broke my heart. But his dad was just trying to save him.
Yeah, and Sister Hilda says that to him.
But he just thought and he was just left all alone. And he says that his prayers have been silent since then.
Well, also he's saying because he was young, he hadn't, and obviously there was all that situation happening, he never had his bar mitzvah. And
no, but does he just say that he just said the prayers to himself?
Yeah, but it means that he feels disconnected from the religion. So, and in the Jewish faith, they reveal the name of the baby at the breast.
Which I think is lovely.
It is lovely. That is lovely. But at the same time, he's against everyone knowing that the baby's Jewish because obviously his background. He doesn't want
he doesn't want him to have like a really Jewish name.
Yeah, he's fearful of what happened to him happening to his son, basically.
I would be dreadful. I would let the baby's name slip. I wouldn't be able to keep it. How quickly after the birth do they do that ceremony?
I think it's fast. I want to say it's within the first less than a month. Like within the first, like maybe even the first few days of a baby's life.
Well, it'd have to be days. If you can't say the baby's name up until that point.
Yeah, but you might not have chosen it by then, Bex.
Yeah, I suppose, because you don't have to register the birth. You've got so long to register the birth, don't you?
Yeah, it's like 38 days or something. But anyway, so Joel is his Hebrew name, but they wanted, so because Sammy's so against everyone knowing that he's Jewish, he wants to call him George as his everyday name. And this is also where Sister Hilda is so into the fox fur coats. Like she's so like...
Her head is so easily turned.
I did like it though. She was like, oh, it takes me right back to another place. And I did like that for her because also it was a very heavy storyline. It was beautifully done, but also I do think it did need a little bit of levity with Sister Hilda.
To be fair, she was saying that it took her back to a mum. Like it reminded her of her mum because her mum had a fox fur coat.
I thought it was quite sincere, actually. I didn't see it as funny. I thought it was a real connection point between the two of them.
So kind of took her away. And it was about heritage, totally. It was about her heritage and her connecting to her heritage and him connecting to his heritage. So she suggested she suggested she'd spoken to a rabbi and suggested that he not take his bar mitzvah. What's the word?
Begin the process of the bar mitzvah and doing the ceremony and practicing and the ritual of it.
Yeah, because he says his father would have been the one to teach him, and obviously he couldn't.
And they also invite Sister Hilda to the ceremony.
Yeah, which was lovely. Normally it's only men.
It was really sweet.
Yeah,
but there were a few extras in there.
There were, but that could have been us, guys.
Yeah,
and
could have been.
Dr. Turner struggling to decide.
In the corner with a cup of tea and a piece of cake.
Yeah, it could have been us. I could easily do that. That's a cosplayer can do. So Dr. Turner struggling to decide what Sammy has, and they think it's industrial. And then they come up with, did anyone write this down?
No.
Because I did. Extrinsic allergic alveolitis. So extrinsic allergic alveolitis.
There we go.
And he can recover from it, but he has to basically give up his livelihood.
Yeah. But then they were like, oh, it's all right. You could be the manager of the shop. I thought, well...
You're still working... Like, who's going to do who's going to actually...
I'm presuming
he's working in the shop.
I'm presuming as well, though, in 1967, it can't have been that bigger trade compared to what it used to be, surely, with all man-made fabrics and everything being more popular and stuff.
No, I think it probably still was.
Do you think?
I know someone who got gifted a Prada Parker coat.
Right.
A Parker coat, but what was it made out of?
Fox fur.
Wait. It was what kind of coat was it again?
A Parker. So fur around the hood.
Oh,
I was picturing a different kind of coat. Okay.
And we were joking around in the office, and then I looked at the label, and it was fox fur.
Oh my goodness!
And one of our other friends
throw paint at her.
Well, one of our other friends at work is a vegan, so like any day it might happen. I really hope I'm in work that day.
So he, at the end, it was a really touching scene. There was a scene of him at the synagogue with the rabbis, like kind of going through, doing all this bar mitzvah stuff, which was really lovely. And at the end, there was a really lovely scene where he gives Sister Hilda a piece of fox fur
Yeah.
that he's kind of treated or whatever. It's like, so, I keep all the scraps. Here you go, have a scrap. But it was said much nicer than that. But made it sound awful. but again, a bit of a Mojo situation going on here. They're not supposed to have any worldly possessions.
No, they're not supposed to. But she's not the first nun to accept a gift, so she won't be the last.
Also, I hardly think a scrap of fabric is enough to.
It's not a scrap.
I think he did it that way on purpose because it's not really like a possession in that way.
Yeah.
Well, and what we also glossed over is the fact that someone holds the baby for the ceremony, and he asked his father-in-law to hold the baby, which was a great honor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when his father-in-law says to him that his father would be proud, I was like, oh.
Yeah. It was really touching storyline. It was a really,
well,
really
they were a lovely
storyline.
couple. They were a lovely family, and I hope Joel. I hope he has a lovely.
That is going to be one attractive child.
Sounded that's the weirdest sentence you said.
In a non-weird way, just observational.
He got very attractive parents, so that he will obviously be attractive. Yeah. Although 2 pluses can make a minus, just saying. So,
well, but like also get this, like, did you see how beautiful? What was it, Orly looked when she was sitting on the bed in the bedroom? Like all the women had to be sequestered out, and she was just listening to the ceremony and everything there. I mean, she had that terrible wig on, but she looked so beautiful. I mean,
who can carry that wig off? Her.
I mean, it was crazy.
I mean, I couldn't. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, she was clearly like just 3 days out from giving birth, and she just, already looked just so glowing and everything again. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't look like that. Nearly 8 years on. Right. So
I've never looked like that. I don't have any excuse. I've never given birth to anybody. I mean, it's just, yeah.
What I will say
go on.
is one of our listeners texted us because after Alex featured on her BBC documentary and is now on the Call The Midwife official Instagram page.
Which is mad.
One of our listeners then sent a screen grab of what she thought me and Jenn looked like. And I was like, I wish that is what I look like.
I know. I wish
what you don't know is I'm filming this and I'm going to put it up on. Shall we talk about Cyril and Lucille?
Oh, yeah.
He had a job interview and he was really hopeful for this job interview.
At Mason and Hodges for a construction company to be a civil engineer. Can I just say that Cyril's character arc throughout his time on Call The Midwife, his professions just so varied.
Yeah. Well,
I think they make sense though. I
100%.
I feel like he's making meaningful choices.
Yeah, but he obviously did all this work to become a civil engineer, and then spoiler alert, he doesn't do it. Carry on with that.
Well, he goes for a job interview. He doesn't get the job.
No, and he was so sad, but. Also, just before that, Mrs. Watson just kind of comes in and Lucille's getting annoyed at that already. And she couldn't eat a full English. I was a bit like, oh, gel. I'd be able to absolutely pelican that down. I'm not going to lie. I love it.
It looked really good.
It did. And so anyway, so he doesn't get the job and he's really upset. And Lucille's also a bit upset. They're like, they've got this thing where they're always like, God has a plan, God has a plan, God has a plan. And then Lucille just keeps feeling really sick. So she tells Nurse Crane that she thinks that she might be pregnant. So Nurse Crane is then on it. She's like insisting that she gets a test. The scene where Nurse Crane is trying to get the pregnancy test into the post past Miss Higgins without Miss Higgins seeing it was absolute lols.
That was hilarious. That was really, really good.
You would think that
she played her like a fiddle.
Yeah, but I just think that you should be able to look at Sister Hilda, wink, and be like, an extra specimen.
No, you mean Miss Higgins?
Yeah.
No, Miss Higgins is 100% by the book. You are not getting anything past that woman. She is rules till she dies. There's life is order is everything.
If you see bureaucracy in the dictionary, there's a picture of Miss Higgins underneath it.
Yes, there's like the second you break the rules, that is the road to hell right there.
Bureaucracy, Millicent Trilby Higgins.
Yeah, she is not gonna break the rules. No.
So anyway, Lucille is pregnant.
But it was really funny, yeah.
Is overjoyed. It was gorgeous. She was like, "Oh, well, the best parents a baby could ever choose."
We should say that
very sweet.
Lucille was very reluctant because they hadn't planned this.
No.
They still wanted to save. They were trying to save for a house. It wasn't part of their plan. So but then when she found out, she was excited.
Yeah.
Well, and just a shout out. Just a shout out for, she thought that she had everything 100% under her control, and contraception just does not always work,
Yeah, it's not 100% effective. She said it's 99.9% effective. Well, you're the 0.001 that wasn't effective for.
Yeah, and if anyone's going to take it correctly as directed, it's going to be Lucille. So, I mean, I thought it was an interesting story that they show that, like, sometimes even when everyone's doing everything quote correct, it isn't, plans go certain type of ways. They don't always go how you think.
And also, Jen, do you know what it shows you? That Cyril's potent. That's what it shows you.
Oh, yikes, 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 yikes.
So she tells Cyril, and Cyril's absolutely shell-shocked, but she says,
He's
we
so
never do anything.
excited.
It was lovely, though. We never do anything lightly, me and you. We always make arrangements for our happiness. And sometimes God makes arrangements too. And basically...
and he said, what did he do now? Which I thought was just such a cute way of saying it.
Yeah. And is he going to be a father? And it was a lovely, joyous moment about him. He was just really excited, how happy he was. And this big smile on his face. It was lovely.
Yeah.
But then at night, he was there circling jobs in the paper. Like, when he thought she was asleep.
Oh, I know.
But then I thought it was a really gorgeous scene, those two, when she was saying, it's okay to be a little worried. I'm a little worried too, but we will get through this together. And I just thought, oh.
And she also says actually about the flat, saying it's actually a really nice place to raise a child, which it absolutely is.
Compared to the other, which we talked about, compared to some other bloody states and places we've seen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I really liked Phyllis's line when she said, a baby couldn't have chosen better parents than you and Cyril. Yeah. I thought that was so sweet. I just was like, oh. And then the scene at the end where she's reading a book.
That's like one of those women on TikTok that go, I'm so glad you chose me to be a mother. It's like, no one chose anyone.
What do you mean?
Oh, okay.
There's like 50 babies in the baby mill. And Bob's chose me. I choose you.
No one chose anyone.
Oh, flipping heck.
All right. Well, there you go. You heard it here first, folks.
You had your tea. So anyway.
No. All right. Defend it then.
I think it's beautiful. A beautiful sentiment. People are sent for people.
It's just a nice thing to say. Like, that's all. Okay.
Do you know what else is nice? A nice ice lolly in the boiling hot. And who came and supplied the ice lollies?
Fred.
Oh, yes, he did. Now, there was amazing, right? It was like the comedy moment element in this episode was Fred telling Violet he was going to sell them all, right? And I think he genuinely did think he was going to. But then the freezer broke, right? Mm-hmm. But she was like, oh, I'll tell you what, I'll do a steak dinner if it sells by all tonight. But if not, you have to scrub the shop out, right? And he was like, deal, because he thought, brilliant, all sorted, I can do this. Because it's boiling. He probably could have sold them. But then the freezer was broken. I don't know why I didn't try and sell like a few of them, like shout, they're not free, first of all. Just be like, oh, I'll sell them to you. But also the fact that he didn't even think about the fact that the books wouldn't add up if he just gave everything away for free.
That, and also like, sir, when did the freezer break? You know what I mean? It just felt a little bit, because he was like, we better test the merchandise. And then Reggie says, it's not even cold in here. And I was like, well, when did this freezer break? What are we doing here? What are we doing with this? I don't know. It didn't seem like a very
freezer.
One of those old-fashioned freezers that would stay frozen for ages.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
so I thought, try and sell them, mate.
Mm-hmm. I still think they had a good day of trying to sell.
But I think they did
a whole day.
Then they gave it away.
A whole day. Yeah.
I did like when they went to see Sister Monica Joan and they said, "How are you?" and she was like, "Dreadful."
I thought the funniest line.
Like the desert.
I thought the funniest line was when, and this was like such good acting, I thought too, is when she walks into the shop and she's like, oh, and Vi goes, how are you? And she's like, I fear I'm about to expire. And Vi's like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, anyways, is there something I can help you with? Like, that to me was just the funniest exchange. Like the way Vi was just like, okay, love. Well, anyways, do you want a paper or like maybe a candy or something?
They're just so used to it and so over a bloody dramatization.
Oh my God. It was just the way she's like, I'm gonna die. And she's like, yes, I'm sorry. Oh, well, anyways, we've all had those days. Okay. What do you want, lovely?
I did love how Violet was like cooking this steak dinner and talking to Fred excitedly about what a successful day it was.
Yeah.
And then she just literally put it in front of her and started eating it. And he was like, where's mine kind of thing. She's like, well, Sister Monica Joan came in and told me all about those lovely free ice lollies.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love that she got him back for that. Like I love Fred so much, but I was like, no man has ever deserved it more just to get like a little bit of a consequence for his harebrained scheme. Because he even got Reggie into it. And just the fact that he sat there It was just like, oh no. That was really funny.
He did finally get the steak though. She did do a mistake eventually.
In the end, yes.
Reggie was there for the ice cream sales, but where was he at tea time?
And where was his steak
she dropped
dinner?
him off. Remember, she said, did Reggie get off okay? And he was like, yep, I dropped him off. He's good to go. So he left.
Also, shout out to the Sexual Offences Act being passed, legalising homosexuality.
Yeah, or decriminalisation, wasn't it? That was good. And it's like they knew. It's like they knew.
That was not in my episode.
Oh, did you have the bit where Sister Francis was trying to guess answers of what people were saying?
No, but actually that makes sense because I didn't really understand the part where she shouted out at the dinner table, like, that's
Paradise Lost, John Milton.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I was like, oh, well, that's kind of a weird.
So basically, at the start of the episode, Sister Monica Jones said this line from text from a book, and she was trying to work out what it was, and then that's why when it happened, she was like, Paradise Lost! Like, she knew it straight away. She kind of shouted it out.
Yeah, exactly. You know what that reminds me of is when I think it was the books that we were reading, the Jennifer Worth books, but when Sister Monica Joan in the book says to the real life Trixie something about wait, maybe it was in the show when she says like, oh, I really thought you were a lot dumber than this, but actually that's really quite wise and smart that you said that.
Yeah, it wasn't in the book, it was in the show.
It was in the show, yeah. And Trixie was like, excuse me, like, can you freaking believe? And that just really
was talking about
funny.
Voltaire, I think.
Yeah. And Trixie said something about something intellectual, and Sister Monica Joan was like, oh, I didn't take you for a kind of person who didn't know anything about that. And she's like, oh, I guess, okay, you thought I was a complete dummy, but
what did you think of Trixie's looks for a date, ladies?
I don't like, no.
You didn't like any of them?
Looked really good on her.
No.
You didn't like, wait, okay, the blue, which one was the blue one?
The blue was the one that was like the Empire line. For when she got in the car for the nighttime date.
I thought that was a gold dress.
Oh, was it? Oh God, I'm going bloody mad.
Yeah, it was a gold dress at the end.
It was like a marigold, goldenrod.
Am I thinking of the week before? I'm thinking of the week before, aren't I?
Thinking of the week before when they had their kiss, because that's when she was hanging the flowers up. No, in this one, I love the black dress. The black dress actually felt like a really beautiful date dress. The gold dress had like all the jewels and like sparkles on top. That's not a color I naturally gravitate towards, but I did think she looked nice in it. And then the dress that she wore to the picnic was very, I thought, it was nice. But it was a casual dress. It was meant to be more.
I don't go on dates, but like, I just can't imagine nowadays people getting that dressed up. I think I'd feel a bit silly getting that dressed up to go for a nice restaurant now, even. Do you know what I mean?
The thing I'll say though, and this is actually like Fred doesn't ever really get dressed up as much, but like we see Matthew this way a lot. And he is, like objectively just a very good looking man anyway.
Who, Fred?
No, Matthew.
You are Cliff if you're listening.
Oh, we love Fred. But the thing is that there is just something so nice and appealing about a suit and a man who is just like put together. You know what I mean? The crisp shirt, the tie, the hair done nicely, correctly. You don't have to be clean shaven, but clean shaven is great. You've got a little bit of jewelry on, like like nice men's jewelry, like a nice shoe, like ring. Just, oh my God, love the signet ring so much. And just seeing Matthew and like all of his looks and everything. And like he actually to me Trixie looked okay, like good on the picnic date, but like the way that she styled him, the costume designer, with like that knit sweater and then the pants and then the glasses and everything, and just his looks are just amazing.
Horses for different courses. I'm not into a suit, guys. I don't like it.
I am big
my
time.
Dad was always in a suit. Like I don't like beards because my dad had a beard. I think maybe I don't know.
That's a healthy response.
I really like that for a guy, honestly. I think I'm more into that preppy style than you are, probably.
Yeah, you're 100%.
Well, definitely am. Definitely. Yeah. No, I've never really been one to go for like kind of that like rockery type of a guy, whereas I know that's more your cup of tea.
Bex, are you in between or are you suits?
Yeah, what's your like if you saw a man and you were like, wow, what would that man be wearing?
I do like a beard. Maybe I'd go for Mr. Rosen, Sammy Rosen Jr.
Oh, so you like the button down and a sweater vest, huh?
Yeah, that look. If anyone in today's episode, yeah.
It's funny you should say this. I was at a wedding yesterday, and there was a guy, and I think he's Brazilian. He was very nice.
Oh.
His name was Ricardo. I don't think he'll be listening. Anyway, he was very much. I was trying to think, who do you look like? And it was Sammy Rosen.
He really did?
Oh!
Yeah, he really did. Oh my God.
Oh
Do you know
my
what? I'll
goodness.
find out. I was at my cousin's wedding. I'll find out if he's single, guys.
Honestly, yes.
Is that
Yes.
gonna help us?
It
Why?
will, Bex.
He
It
lives in
will.
Manchester. He doesn't live in Brazil.
Also, a Brazilian.
Some of us live in
I mean,
Manchester.
Brazilians are like well known for being incredibly good looking and like hot.
We're not
It's very
helping
lovely.
Jen's reputation for being thirsty here.
No, it's not. No, Bex, this is all about you. This is not about me. This is about you getting to hook up with a hot Brazilian guy potentially if it works out.
I mean, there were also a lot of people in suits, just saying.
Yeah,
Okay,
wedding's
well,
not a place to go for that.
tell them to take a transatlantic flight and come find me. That's fine. Absolutely.
Also, they got married this is off topic, but they got married in a registry office. And I've never been to a
Uh-huh.
registry office wedding before. It was lovely.
That's very like old-fashioned vintage vibes right there to just go do that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was lovely. It was really, really nice. It was really nice.
Well, and
wedding.
you said it was like a daytime event.
Yeah. And then they had like a big thing in the gala. It was just really lovely. Anyway, that's by the
But
way.
wait, how was there a wedding party if they were just in the registry office?
Well, didn't feel like just a registry office though. They had like a whole room where you had the ceremony and stuff. It was really nice. It was gorgeous inside as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because I thought it'd be like where we registered Bob's birth and it was just this little room that they took you into kind of thing. But obviously they must have like ceremony rooms as well. I didn't obviously think about it much.
Okay, good for
But no,
them.
it was really lovely. It was really nice.
Aw.
And Bob's was a bridesmaid, so
Aww.
Her first of many.
yeah.
Mm.
No, she wishes.
All right, folks.
Should
What
we
else
do
do we need
heroes
to talk
and
about?
zeros, or has anyone got anything else to say?
No, let's do heroes and zeros.
Yeah, I
Go
think
for it.
so.
My zero is going to be Ivy.
Okay.
Because she was so, even if it wasn't a twin sister, even if it was just somebody that she knew who'd had a baby, she was so out of, she was so, do you know what? She was like not in the slightest bit intuitive.
Yeah.
And I was just like, how can you not see? And so yeah, Ivy. My hero is going to be, I'm going to say it's Samuel Rosen.
Oh, your
So-
love.
Yeah, for being just attractive. No, from like obviously having such like a tragic childhood and just being part of such a horrific part of history, but then going on to like create something and make a family, and
Lovely, joyful life.
even though he's incredibly traumatized by the whole situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, good for him. Al?
Me? Now
Mhm.
I've got two very different zeros.
Two zeros.
I've got two zeros. I can't decide between them. Shall I do
Okay.
both, or do you? I feel like Jen. I'll do.
You can do both.
Right, go on then. I'll do both. You ready?
Yeah.
First one, Holocaust. Don't really think I need to explain that further. Like that is
Yeah.
zero.
Done and done.
Second
Please
zero.
expand on your thinking behind.
Why do you think the Holocaust is bad? My second zero is Matthew
Oh.
for giving
Ooh.
Jonty an ice cream.
Yeah.
Yes, that was horrifying in nature on every level.
My hero is going to be Sister Hilda. I thought she handled that whole situation with aplomb, with sensitivity, with just it was classy. I just really appreciated the way she acted in the whole thing and the way she dealt with it and the way she suggested going to a bat mitzvah. She didn't push it on anyone. She was very respectful about it, but she was also very kind, caring, and a really good support for the Rosens. So I really appreciated it.
Yeah.
My hero is going to be. Oh no, my zero. I like to do my zero first. Okay, my zero is gonna be. I mean, we already talked about the Rosens. Like that storyline really kind of touched me in a lot of ways. But I will say that I really felt for Yvonne's postpartum story, and her post-birth struggles really were very sad. And so that is my zero. Not her, but like what she went through, because I think, when you've had a baby, you're in a very vulnerable position, and it's, just to have hardship after that is really, it already takes something very hard, makes it harder. So I really hope that she had a happy ending. And even though they kind of left it in a bit of a open-ended way, I'm gonna say that she had a happy story line for her future. And then my hero on the flip side will be, well, I'll give my hero and then I'll give like an honorable mention. My hero is going to be Phyllis for being so wonderful and supportive and positive and encouraging and helpful to Lucille.
Yeah.
And just being that she's just like such an amazing friend. And I just feel like Phyllis just constantly teaches me about friendship. And I just love like how she shows up for people. And she's just so excited for everyone, and she's so genuine in it. And, I think there's a lot of complexity to that, but like her ability to be generous and loving and kind and everything is just so stellar. So I just love Phyllis. But then I have to also give an honorable mention hero to Nancy for telling off Matthew about dating Trixie and just saying, you can't start with pipe and slippers. You have to start with the fireworks, and telling him that he better get his act together. Otherwise, he's not gonna, get this relationship going the way he thinks. And I love that.
Her doing that was going to ruin it for them. So I feel bad. I was mean on Nancy there, and actually absolutely enhanced their relationship. So yes, agree.
Yeah, I really liked it. Like, I know Trixie didn't ask for that, and I think I will say, when I watched the scene again this morning, the way that she's just like, oh, hi, Mr. Aylward, and he's like, oh, hi, how are you? She's like, listen, I got something to tell you, bub, and she's like literally walking by him as she's telling him this. She barely stops in the market to have a conversation, and he's just like, actually, he even has to like walk to keep up with her because she just keeps on going, and he's just like, wait, what? And she just blasts him so hard, and he's standing there just like, what just happened? Oh, I just love it.
Hey, but it resonated because he did the right thing.
He did. And I will say, I thought
because normally in situations like this, you hear people get involved in other people's relationships and then they get told off for it.
Yeah.
Friends well, but I'm glad it did.
Well, you know what? And that's to say, that actually is a good point, because I think meddling is given a bad name too often. And sometimes people do need to meddle a little bit more, and people need to be a bit more open to meddling, because sometimes we're not our best. We don't always do the best thing we should do for ourselves. And so I think sometimes people need to like help us course correct. Also, I did think it was incredibly cute how he gave her the flowers and said he was apologizing for Jaunty being a hoodlum, which I thought was really cute and funny. And I mean, I don't know. That was a very small thing, but I just thought it was very cute.
You heard it here, listeners. Meddle more.
Yeah. Honestly.
Go out, my pretties, and meddle.
Yes, absolutely. Because you know what meddling shows? Meddling shows you know what's going on with the people you love, you care, and you're willing to help them. And people should be more open to the people in their lives
Becky maybe
caring about them.
Open to me meddling, maybe, with Ricardo. Anyway.
Yes. Yes. Listen, I'm just saying, what if it led to something? What if you meet Ricardo and it's like, whoa, humana.
You could do cosplay. You could have her wig and wear it at your wedding. You could dress as Orly.
He could make you a fur coat as a
that's what he does as well for a job.
Affection.
Shut up.
I've no idea what he does. Anyway, so next week we will be watching Series 11, Episode 5. Can you believe it was Series 11, Episode 5?
No.
And in the meantime, you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok.
Watch Alex's interview.
Yeah,
everyone's watched it.
Yeah, Blue Sky, Threads, and X, Twitter. Yeah, we've got a TikTok now, guys. We've not actually made a video yet, but Becky is good on TikTok. She said she'll do something. So we'll see how that goes.
I need to brainstorm that this week.
Yeah, I've just been. I don't really know how it works yet, because I've been watching stuff on TikTok for ages, but I don't know how to actually upload it there. But what I've done is not retweeted, but reshared TikTok.
I'll get my niece to help us.
Yeah, but there's loads of really good videos on there. Call The Midwife on TikTok.
The thing is, are you gonna let yourself be on camera, Bex? Because a lot of TikTok is obviously based on that.
Oh no, there's loads of stuff you could do of like videos of Call The Midwife.
Yeah.
Like what?
Well, wait and see, Jen.
There's loads. Yeah, you wait and see. You're in for a treat.
Okay, all right, I'm excited.
But one of them was really good. It's an actress who was on. I've shared it on our TikTok, like I've re-shared it. But she was an actress. She was, Goldilocks, and the girl who was Shirley in Goldilocks. Yeah. It was Shirley, and she was the actress who played the Shirley, and she was talking about how they did it with all the different babies. So it's really interesting. So I've shared that on our TikTok.
I'm worried that I share stuff on. It's not retweeting, is it? What's it called?
I don't know. That's why I said
reposting. Sometimes I'm worried on TikTok that I just repost things, and I didn't mean to do that. I was just scrolling.
Oh well, I did mean to repost these. So
sometimes I click and I follow people that I don't want to follow them.
Well, that doesn't matter. You can just unfollow them.
Yeah, but I just do it by accident as I'm scrolling.
That happens loads. Don't worry. It's because you're probably falling asleep.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is again with rubbish ending.
I'm not claiming any part of that. I haven't said hardly anything in these first 2 minutes, so you guys are the ones.
Follow us online, guys. Listen to our next episode. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.